Welcome to the Voices of Florida House District 14, Love Thy Neighborhood, the podcast where your story matters. I'm Teresa V. Wakefield Gamble, a lifelong Jacksonville resident, educator, advocate, entrepreneur, and your 2026 candidate for Florida House District 14. This podcast is more than just conversations. It's a movement, from kitchen tables to corner stores, from neighborhood meetings to City Hall, and all the way to the Florida State Capitol. We're bringing together voices from every block, every precinct, every walk of life. From Sherwood Forest, Moncrief to Norwood and Brentwood, Lakewood Forest and Grand Park, Cedar Hills and Hyde Park, Arlington and Fort Caroline, Southside Estates, Ocean Way and Turtle Creek. Also, Oakleaf, Normandy, and Crystal Springs. Your stories lead the way. And of course, we shine light on our historic neighborhoods: Springfield, Eastside, Durkeeville, San Marco, downtown near the Jaguar Stadium, and Merle Avenue. Communities rich with culture, struggling, and legacy.
Tell the story about a man, a woman, and an idea. The man, Lieutenant Tyler Brown, was a classmate of mine at Georgia Tech. He and I joined the military after 9/11 out of a sense that our nation and, well, democracy itself was under attack. Now, Tyler was a natural leader, and he was widely admired as our student body president. He was like the big man on campus, and I think he had all the drive, the talent, and the commitment to be a future senator or CEO. But sadly, Tyler died when his squad was pinned down in an ambush in our Ramadi, Iraq in September of 2004. So that was almost 20 years ago now. As he lay dying, Tyler continued to shout out orders to his troops to guide them away from danger and to respond to the sniper who shot him. Now, he lost his life for his team, and he fought for his country because he believed in an idea. A few months after Tyler died, an Iraqi grandmother cast a ballot in the first election of her lifetime. After she voted for Iraq's parliament, officials there had her dip her finger in purple ink to make sure she could only vote once. Now, this woman wore that purple finger like a badge of honor, waving it for anyone to see. This was despite knowing that Iraqi militant groups had been actively bombing and murdering people just for being part of the process that day. So she risked her life, as did millions of others, because she believed in an idea. The idea of democracy has been inspiring risk takers in this country since the Age of Enlightenment, when a small band of rebels pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to challenge the notion that a king could be born into absolute power. Since then, our republic has been forced to evolve as we fight to extend the power of the vote to an ever greater number of our fellow citizens. First, to all men regardless of wealth, then to all men regardless of color, and then again to all women and men alike. In every case, those out of power took great personal risk to fight for their right to be heard. In every case, men and women lost their lives believing that a better version of our republic is worth fighting for. And in every case, from the Civil War to civil rights, American democracy has proven its ability to evolve under great pressure, like coal being squeezed into a diamond. Now, our democracy is again at a crossroads. Millions of Americans feel locked out and disenchanted with a system of government that's been captured by its political class, with its wealthy donors and its expensive lobbyists. Our elections are controlled by a party process and access to cash, while gerrymandering pushes the most extreme voices to the top. It's hard to criticize the one-party state in China when 80% of Americans live in a state governed entirely by one political party. And almost 90% live in a congressional district considered completely uncompetitive in a general election because it's so dominated by one party. So we have to ask ourselves, do we even have a two-party system anymore? Because for most of us, the answer is no. So it's no wonder that voters have lost faith in a process where they no longer feel heard, or that voter apathy is so high, or that registered independents are now the largest and the fastest growing voter group, especially among the young. But unfortunately, many no longer believe that democracy itself can deliver. They think that the system is rigged, and they are placing their faith that either a dictatorship or complete anarchy is the only way to wipe the slate clean. But are those our only choices? Really? In America? Rather than collapse into despotism, instead, in this country, we have a choice. We can choose to acknowledge the serious structural deficiencies in our political process, and we can work together to find ways to solve them. We can evolve our government to use 21st century tools to provide greater access, accountability, and transparency on demand. And the Digital Democracy Project was designed to do just that. As a technology consultant ever since leaving the military, it's my training to look at the system itself and to imagine, how can we make this system work? Well, imagine if we could all have a voice in shaping the legislation that affects our lives by directly telling our legislators how we want them to vote. Imagine if we could cut out all the middlemen that stand between us and our government, like the biased media or the endless campaigning and the broken election system. Imagine if we, the voters, had all the same power as the lobbyists or the party insiders, the corporations, and the special interest groups. Now imagine if we could do all of that from the comfort of our couch. Well, we don't have to imagine anymore, because the Digital Democracy Project is here. Our platform starts by combining mobile voting, that's voting on your phone, with online accountability tracking so that we, the voters, are driving the process. Now, of course, there's lots of cool technology under the hood, but for voters, it's really as easy as ordering a pizza. First, you vote. You cast a ballot on your phone. To handle the voting, we chose to work with Votes, that's V-O-A-T-Z, a Boston-based startup that's already been certified by several states to provide a mobile voting app for military voters overseas to cast ballots directly from their phones. Now, it uses all sorts of fancy stuff like device-level authentication, a blockchain backend, biometrics, ID verification, but the long and short of it is that it's a highly scalable, unhackable election software that you can carry in your hands. Now, this technology is revolutionary. I wish it had existed back when I was in the military, because I remember voting on more than one occasion where my candidate had actually dropped out of the race by the time my absentee ballot moved its way through the mail system. So I wasted my vote. Not only can this technology provide greater access and security, but it even allows us to completely rethink our relationship with our government and to imagine something that's entirely new. So for instance, we can ask, why should we have to wait every few years to let voters in an election have a say in the process? Why can't we just let voters weigh in on whichever legislation they like, whenever and wherever they like? So we worked with the folks at Votes to enhance their app for the Digital Democracy Project, so that now, for the very first time, voters can cast ballots on pending legislation that's currently being debated in our Capitol, and we do it right from our phones. But since legislation is written by lawyers for lawyers, we use other new technology like AI so that our legislative tracking team can rapidly read, summarize, and distill the key points of a bill, putting it in common language so that we all understand, and then putting it in the app so that voters have the power to decide for themselves what's best for their communities. So just like ordering a pizza, once voters place their order, then our platform tracks it. We display the aggregated votes in real time in maps on our website. We call this the tally. And it shows what voters want on each bill, broken down by legislative district. It provides legislators a quick and easy view so that they can see what their voters want before they have to take a hard vote in the Capitol. So they love it because it's free public polling, but it also allows voters to hold the legislators accountable to the results. Compare this to our current system where, you can call your legislator, you could send them an email, you can write them a letter if you want, but you have no idea how many others have called in or written about the same topic or where they stand on the issue. Only the legislator knows if he's voting with or against the will of his district, and he has a heavy incentive to suppress that information if it doesn't align with the lobbyist who walks into his office holding a sack of cash. We make this information public because we're based in Florida and we think sunshine is the greatest disinfectant. Then the pizza gets delivered, and the pizza lover goes online to write a review. We think this is the best part, the scorecard. The Digital Democracy Project compares what voters wanted in the app to how legislators deliver in the Capitol. We compare the vote tallies from the app to the same votes on the bills on the floor, so it's an apples-to-apples comparison. We run the numbers for every legislator, and we give them a scorecard at the end of every session so we can easily see if they match their district. This gives voters some concrete data to work with on Election Day so that they can decide which legislators to re-elect and which to replace. It's similar to how we use restaurant reviews to decide where to eat, except that our secure platform prevents any fake 5-star reviews. All of this is provided as a free public service because the Digital Democracy Project is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with bipartisan funding from the state of Florida. Imagine that, bipartisan in Florida. Over the last 18 months since we launched, registered Florida voters have used the Digital Democracy Project to tell legislators how to vote on over 180 bills, including some recent legislation that banned social media accounts for children under the age of 14, allowed the shooting of bears on private property, and provided hurricane relief funding, among many, many others. But what's most exciting is to see the early results in our actual elections. Commander Tom Keene, a former Navy officer, was the first legislative candidate in Florida to endorse the Digital Democracy Project. He didn't have nearly as much of the party support, the endorsements, or the campaign funding of his competitors. And he was running in a tightly contested special election in Orlando. But he won that race by promising to use the results from the app to provide greater accountability to his district. Commander Keene, now Representative Keene, has gone on to use the Digital Democracy Project to inform his votes in Tallahassee. And he has inspired dozens of other candidates and legislators to come forward to endorse our project in advance of the 2024 elections. Now, I'm not naive, so I don't believe that this is a silver bullet that's going to fix all of our problems. But I do believe that the Digital Democracy Project will be one of the many reforms that advances the cause of American democracy. I believe we can inspire voters to re-engage in the process and take back ownership of our government, and that we can, once again, create a government that is truly of the people, by the people, and for the people by using this revolutionary technology to put power back into the hands of the people, literally. And to Tyler, to our Iraqi grandmother, and to the countless millions who sacrificed everything for an idea, I hope we can do you proud.
Sadie Holzmeyer has a background in activism and organizing. Sadie joined Digital Democracy Project in 2023 as the outreach coordinator, working to spread the word about their civic engagement platform at the grassroots level. Sadie became the executive director of the Florida chapter in 2025 as Digital Democracy Project expands to empower all United States voters to have more of a say on federal bills. Sadie is looking forward to continuing to help more organizations and voters get more involved and engaged around legislation to increase civic engagement and improve representation of our government. Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is your host, Teresa B. Wakefield Gamble, 2026 candidate for Florida House District 14, your educator, your advocate, and entrepreneur, and a Jacksonville-born native. We are here for another amazing episode on Voices of Florida House District 14. We have a special guest that I met online and then in person here in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida, Miss Sadie Holzmeyer of the Digital Democracy Project. She just don't know she is an angel sent for me because I am a digital driven candidate and I love all things digital to reach our candidates. So today we're going to talk about the digital power to the people. Sadie is going to talk about the grassroots civic tech and the future of our democracy. Welcome, Sadie.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's awesome. I was so impressed when I met you and I always forget his name. Ramon. I'm gonna remember that. I know it started with an R. Ramon, please forgive me if you watch and hear this. But yeah, I was so impressed with what you all were doing. And it just goes to show that folks in Florida is not sleeping. They are tired of this stuff that's going on in our state. So with that being said, before we dive into the digital world of empowering our Floridians and the world, let's talk about Sadie a little bit. What is your background in civic engagement, Sadie?
Yeah, so I got involved after college. I kind of got involved around environmental issues and learning more about that, and then different organizations in the community. And also it was like during COVID, so doing different community events to like COVID relief related events. And I got involved with an environmental group. I kind of took a leadership role And just learning about like that whole issue in itself, everything kept coming back to policy and how different government, different laws can impact like the issue, either making it worse or improving it. So that's kind of how I got started to have an interest in politics, and kind of just going through like watching different documentaries to learn more about the issue, government, how things work, and some stuff in the history too. And listening to different podcasts, I started kind of thinking about like a way to kind of impact change, like learning that we have these solutions already, like how can we kind of make things better for people, make government work better for the people, and kind of was thinking of different ideas and had a similar idea to Digital Democracy Project. And then a random Google search just came across Digital Democracy Project and learned more, reached out to the website and connected with Ramon, and it kind of just worked out well. They were about to start doing on-the-ground organizing and outreach. They had their first political endorsement, so I moved to Florida to help out kind of with the on-the-ground work, and that's kind of where I got started, more so involved here in Florida.
What? Wait, what? Where did you move from, Sadie?
I'm from Indiana.
Whoa, you can't clear across the whole United States to come to Florida, Lord. This just goes to show you Florida need all the help we can get. I promise you. Thank you for answering the call, Sadie. We appreciate you.
Of course.
So you mentioned environmental groups because, as you know, I'm the chapter director of the Democratic Duval Environmental Caucus chapter here in Jacksonville. I just relaunched it last year in October. So what environmental issues were you working with? And you came to the same conclusion I did, that I'm in school as in ed leadership, getting my doctorate, and I want to focus on the fact they were taking Black history out of schools and gender studies and all these other things. But I said, okay, I can't get on the teachers for not teaching it because they are driven and governed by policy. So you came to the same conclusion like I did. So what environmental groups were you working with, I guess, in Indiana and then eventually in Florida?
Yeah, I actually didn't really learn about climate change even as an issue, being an issue, until my senior year of college. So that was like in 2019. And I just learned more about the issue and kind of connected with like Citizens Climate Lobby was a big organization that I got started with. And like the Sunrise Movement, I learned more about their environmental issues, like how they address them, different policy ideas, and kind of just, learn more that way. And different documentaries were really important to like shaping my views too. So
which
that's how I got started.
So which documentaries stuck out to you the most that really had that hook, line, and sinker and drew Sadie in?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind, because there was an organization that had a documentary screening of it last year in Florida that I went to too, but the Before the Flood, you've probably seen it.
Oh, wow. Yep. And also, look, been in a flood. There's a couple of them here in Florida. Believe it or not, we had some in Duval County that was real bad. So that is amazing. And so from being involved with environmental groups, watching documentaries and podcasting, trying to get information. So as an educator, I got to put my educator hat on for a minute. So what was happening in college while you didn't hear anything about climate change while you was in college? I'm quite sure you took science courses, right?
Yeah, I started off going for nursing. So I guess like environmental issues wasn't really part of like the classes that I took. I don't really know where that class would have been that I missed out on that part or where I missed it. But yeah, I found out about it from like a friend, a conversation. And then my last year, I had also taken like social problems, a sociology class, and kind of learned a little bit about it in there. But Yeah, it wasn't like a formal class that I had learned about it from.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So since you have traveled across our country from Indiana to Florida, we're not gonna say where you are in Florida. Just know that she is in Florida. I can attest and confirm that because I've seen her in person. So civic engagement platform, this voter driven system of digital democracy. What has Ramon shared with you, and what have you and Ramon have done together since you came to Florida that has really bolstered or piquing the interest of Floridians to join this project?
Yeah, so I mean, Ramon had all of this in the works before I even found out about it. So yeah, he gets full credit for starting everything with Digital Democracy Project. And yeah, so we're basically just building a voter-driven system of government, putting the power in the hands of the people. So giving the voters more access to the legislative process so they get a vote on the same bills as their legislators, and even spreading awareness about the bills that are going on. And yeah, I think people are just wanting to learn more, understanding how things are working. So, and especially organizations that are already doing the work around the legislation, finding like a way to kind of amplify their power so that they can have like more say in the bills, and using this tool to kind of illustrate what the voters want. And so that's kind of the first part of it, is providing this civic technology to illustrate what the voters want, give them a way to kind of have more say. And then we also create scorecards where we post how our legislators are voting, and we compare that to how the voters had voted, so we can kind of illustrate like how often they're matching what the voters want. And then the voters have that information so they can hold their legislators at accountable. So they can hold their legislators accountable at election time if they either feel like they're not representing them, or they're not listening to the voters, or they don't like how they're voting on the issues. So they have the power at election time as well.
That is great. That's great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Ramon did do a TED Talk, and I am going to include it at the end of Sadie's interview. So even though Ramon is not with us, he will be featured with Sadie. So that way he can give you the backstory, how the Digital Democracy Project became to be. So I am a participant of the Digital Democracy Project, and I love the training that Sadie and Ramon did in Jacksonville, Florida, and I love the text message alerts. I don't know who send them text messages out, the little messages. Did y'all see this? I'll get so tickled because I know it's coming from y'all. And it's a sense of urgency as a voter. Okay, we need to they voting on something right now. It's almost like a notification to let us know what our legislators are doing, especially if they're not holding town halls, they're not sending out emails, they're not doing social media posts that are informative, instead of passing misinformation and disinformation. I love that so much, and it's cool. So, Sadie, how easy it is for, say, me as a candidate to get the constituents in Florida House District 14 involved with the Digital Democracy Project, because their current incumbent voting record is horrible. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
She doesn't vote for anything that's people powered or people driven. She co-sponsored a lot of legislation with other representatives in different counties. I've rarely seen her propose co-sponsor something specifically for Duval County, especially for her district.
Yeah, so you touched on a good point too, that one of the important aspects of it is that we're tracking all these issues ahead of time so that voters get a chance to weigh in first before our legislators are voting, so we can tell them how we want them to vote. And then that also gives voters a chance to, like, where we can get a power numbers effect to have more influence on our legislators with more voters weighing in. And it gives info to the legislators to hear, like, what their voters want. So it's pretty easy for voters to get engaged. They can go to our website and it'll provide some guidance, or they can go to the App Store and download. The app is called Votes. It's VOATZ. So we use their technology, their Civic. It's like a mobile voting platform that's used in actual elections. They started for like service members overseas, and people with disabilities use them to kind of help make the voting easier for them. And they've been used in a lot of elections. So the voter can go on there and create their account on the Votes app, and then it'll match their account to their device, and then they get verified as a registered voter. So the standard way, they can upload a photo ID, and then it'll match they do a selfie scan, it'll match their image to their photo ID to prove that they're a real person, and then with their ID, they look them up on the voter file to make sure they're registered to vote. And since it is real voting software, election software, it's very secure. That's like their top priority. So once you get verified, they delete all your info, and they use the blockchain, so everything's anonymous and secure. And then you only have to go through that process once. Once you get verified, then you have access to vote on all the bills. So right now there's some federal bills that we've already carried, so you can vote on, like, I think we're up to 20 to 30 federal bills. And then each week or so, we'll post more bills. So you'll be able to vote on the previous ones and every one that's to come in the future as well. And then, yeah, that's how voters can stay informed on what's going on and have their say and tell their legislators how they want them to be voting. And then we also have our website that we're currently updating to shift to the focus to the federal level. So that's where you can go and see like a breakdown of the results and see how many voters support and oppose each bill. And it's broken down by each district as well. So like candidates and legislators can see what their specific voters in their district, how they feel about different bills as well.
That is amazing. I'm super excited for this. I'm like, gosh, why we couldn't have this before the 2024 presidential election? It would have been so helpful, even before, my primary, which was last year on August 20th. But I'm ramping up now. So I love the fact that you all have shifted to the federal level. Now, I'm curious, are y'all watching the race in Virginia? Because Virginia has a Democratic governor running, and then a counterpart of mine that I interviewed earlier, Dr. Fergie Reed Sr. and Jr., they have recruited qualified candidates for the Virginia Assembly. 53 women, 56 men, black and very diverse Democratic slate that they're trying to uplift to get rid of the Republican supermajority in Virginia. So are y'all going to be tapping into that race in Virginia since that's the first one?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be looking into that race. It is an option for like any candidate to be able to endorse. I should say maybe in other states at the federal level, federal candidates to be able to endorse Digital Democracy Project as a platform to say, this is a tool I want to use to hear from my voters to inform how I'm voting. But since we're not we don't have chapters in different states yet, I don't know that we'll be able to do much around that race. And then since we're just now shifting to the federal level, our tech team's still kind of helping update a bunch of the legislation, the website and such. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to look too far into that specific race yet. When is that?
I think it's coming up. I'll tell you shortly. But it's soon, because a couple of people have dropped the bug in my ear to help with this election. I say, I'm going to talk to Sadie about and see what the Digital Democracy Project can do to help them. But according to this, June 17th, 2025 is their primary for the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, Virginia House of Delegate, and their local offices. So, and then their general and special election will be November 4th, 2025. So Virginia, they vote every year versus on an even year. Florida, we vote every 2 years on an odd year. So that is what's going on in Virginia, and everybody is, eyes looking on him, because I just saw a video today that the governor spoke at one of the South Carolina universities commencement exercise, and the whole class got up and walked out on him.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, how the next generation of leaders are responding. So go ahead, Sadie.
I was just going to say, as we expand across the country, we do want to branch out. Like right now, it's an option for any U.S. voter to vote on federal bills, but we want to, I lead the Florida chapter to where we do state level legislation in Florida. So we want to build out chapters in different states to carry state level legislation in those states. And then that's where we can have more meaningful engagement with candidates down ballot too.
Awesome. So if someone wants to open or start a digital democracy project chapter, what would they need to, does that require, and who do they need to contact to do so?
Yeah, so through the website, there's a contact info. There's actually a chat button on there too, so they can reach out to us either way. And I don't know if you can share my contact info, and anyone can reach out to me as well. So we've Florida's been our first state since we started. So it's our first chapter that we've been growing. So what is really crucial for the chapter, we need someone who's really informed about the legislation going on, so that they can relay to our team the bills that are going on, so that we can put them in the app for voters to weigh in on. And then they'll be available to voters. So then the chapter we would need them to do more about spreading the word in that state to get voters into the app weighing in on the bills. And then a lot of it's automated. So the vote records, there's resources that we use that can relay those to the website. So there's not too much required. It's mostly just someone there to help relay the legislation and help build out and spread the word.
Okay. So how much time commitment you think is involved to do that?
It's as much as you want to do. There's I spend all my free time doing this, because there's endless people to reach out to. You can connect with any organization, any voter. So it's as much as they want to do. If they're helping to track the legislation, relay to us, which we actually built out a membership, a portal where voters can become members and then request bills. So that helps facilitate that process too, where if we have different members relaying bills to our team for us to carry. So that's the bulk of it. And then as is much effort as you want to spend spreading the word, it has more impact and more influence the more people that are using it. So that's where you can spend as much time and effort as you want.
Awesome. That's good. Now, all of this is not free, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff takes money. So Sadie, if you have people who want to donate, who want to sponsor, who want to partner to help with their time, talent, and treasures, are they able to do so? And how would they go about doing it?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we're always looking for help expanding. So we're trying to scale up is our main focus right now. So yeah, if you are able to help financially, you can go to our website, digitaldemocracyproject.org, and you'll easily see a donate tab, and it's on our homepage as well to be able to donate. And then what also helps is getting more voters enrolled into the app and weighing in. So either telling your friends, family, different organizations about it. And then something that's worked really well for us is doing outreach to different organizations to present to their members and spread the word to them and get them connected so that they can use it and help get other voters and their networks using it as well, to also be a resource for their advocacy that they're already doing. And even just, keeping voters civically engaged as a candidate or as an organization that's kind of working in that space. It's a resource for them to be able to use as well. So, you can reach out to me through my email if you want to put that in there, or my phone number. We're always looking for people to connect with to kind of help us spread the word that way too. Because like I said, the more people using it, the more influence, the more meaningful it's going to be.
Okay, sounds good. So as you all know, I'm gonna share it now. I was gonna wait, but me and Sadie has been talking, and I'm running for office for 2026. You will be using the Digital Democracy Project to help encourage all the voters in Florida House District 14 to sign up on Votes, so they can look and see the bills that's going on in Florida and how they will impact our district. But as a candidate, I would love for you all to sign up, because that way I want to hear from you of which bills is being proposed that you don't like, you don't need, it doesn't accommodate you as a voter and a taxpayer. So Sadie, tell them a little bit. We're going to shift gears a little bit to help candidates, because, some candidates are running in Florida already. Some have not yet fully got their campaign rearing and going. How effective can this Digital Democracy Project tool help a candidate, whether they run it for the first time or rerun it again for re-election?
Yeah, I mean, this can be a super powerful resource. So like in your case, you already understand the value of it, which is great. So as many, and you touched on too, any voters able to use it to kind of tell you how they want them to vote, to have their say. So the more people weighing in, the more you'll understand what your voters want, the more representative will be what your voters in your district want. And then you're also at the same time connecting with those voters early on so that they're staying informed about what's going on, and then also seeing how you're voting, so that kind of helps them stay engaged for when it comes to election time. So right now they can go on and they can view the scorecard of the sitting legislator and see how they're voting. And then that's a resource that candidates can also use to kind of compare, say, this is how your current legislator is voting on different bills. You can go break down through the different bills and kind of explain to voters, this one had this effect and she voted whichever way, and I would have voted this way, to kind of give them an alternative option why they should look for someone else if that person's not representing what the voters want or not doing what the voters feel is best for them. And then if you get elected, then that scorecard can also serve to where it can create a record to show I am doing what my voters want, and a breakdown by the bills, kind of making that case for you. So then when it comes to time for you to be reelected, then you can show the scorecard to show I'm already doing the work, I'm representing you, I want to continue doing that.
That is cool. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get started with that. So I am loving this whole entire platform. Sadie, I know you all are in the works of doing and expanding some other things that's coming down the pike soon. I'm not going to say nothing, even though I know about it. I'm not going to say anything, but it's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. So because we do everything on our cell phones today, and we're always online, but that cell phone is important. How wonderful that this project gives you the power right in your phone to vote on bills that's being proposed in our state before your legislator, your representatives vote. So you can let them know, hey, this is how I feel about these particular issues. Now, it was one question I wanted to ask you. Once the voters have voted on their bills, is there a way they can share on their social media platforms how they voted in the app? Or is there a way that are coming in the future where they can have a little mini scorecard that they can share? Okay, these are the bills that's going on right now in session in Florida, and this is where my stand on these issues, and where they can help draw and galvanize that momentum.
Yeah, so that would be super helpful. What comes to mind as far as that, I like to take screenshots of like the summaries of the bills, and you can see like the vote results with the map. And so voters can either do that to kind of spread the word about the bills, and then we also have the link to, it's a bills view page on our website that'll take you directly to that bill so you can read about it, see the results, and then if it's been voted on, you can see how all the legislators are voting. And then referring people to the vote page on our website is kind of where it'll help guide them to get into the app to weigh in, have their votes, submit their votes that way. And then we do have some changes to make this process a little easier that we'll be working on in the future. But yeah, I've been spreading the word about the bills and then getting people into the app, kind of showing them where the bills kind of like they're organized right now by when we posted them. So they can go see like when it was posted to go in to find the bill and vote on it that way. So yeah, any way that they can spread the word on social media, that would be really helpful. And I did want to add on too about you bringing up about the digital aspect of it too. That is a really powerful part of what we're doing too, because I like with the accessibility, the convenience of it, to where more people can weigh in that way without it being very difficult or challenging. Like once they get into the app, then like people who are working multiple jobs or maybe are too busy to be able to show up to like meetings or go to Tallahassee to speak out on bills, it kind of opens that up to where more people are able to stay informed and engaged. And then the digital aspect of it too, especially if people are helping spread the word to get other voters on, that's where like we can quickly scale. And yeah, the scaling is where it's going to bring in more influence. So yeah, that is a important aspect of it too.
That's great. That is super great because I'm all digital oriented with my campaign because that's everywhere where everyone is. So, Sadie, I have enjoyed meeting with you. Looking forward to working with you and the team, being, helping out with any way I can to get the messaging out, to get voters to sign up, and to make sure that, we have a way to fund you all the information on bills. Now, I know you talked about the federal level and the state level. Are there any future plans to do this in the local government levels by county in Florida?
Yeah, I did want to just not forget to mention too, voters can go on the website and view all the previous bills that we've carried as well. So at the state and the federal level. And the local level, we would like to, that is something we do want to expand to the local level in the future. And we actually had bipartisan support from the state legislature during the last legislative session. We had Rita Harris in the House and Senator Keith Perry in the Senate that sponsored an appropriations bill to help us get more funding to kind of help us expand to get more input from voters to inform legislators, but also expand to the local level. And it actually made it all the way through the legislature, and it did not make it across the governor's desk. He line item vetoed our funding. So that was something that we had planned to do. And so now if there gets to be interest, which we've had individual candidates reach out, like interested in this tool, being able to use it for like their positions as well. But yeah, that's where we'll need some funding to be able to help us kind of like build the technology out more so to the local level. But that is something we plan to eventually do in the future too.
Okay. So you will need some people at the local level to coordinate with you guys at the state level, right?
Yeah, so if we had like, if we would probably do it to the county level first. So having like someone that's a county commissioner, or if we try to do something at the school board level, having someone that's in that position to be able to relay to us the different ordinance or issues that are being debated so that we can put those in the app. And then we'd have to work with the votes team to kind of, we're able to do it. We would just have to put some work to figure out how to go about it, to narrow it down to where like only those voters in that county are able to see that issue and weigh in on that issue versus like the whole state right now.
Gotcha. Makes sense. we're going to keep talking about the local government issue. I got some ideas I may can suggest and some people I may can connect you here to in Duval County to help with that. Because in Duval, they've already started their own Doge committee that is only Republican led. There's no Democrats. There's no women on this committee at all.
Wow.
It's all Caucasian, white men Republicans that's on this committee. So, and we've been showing up to those meetings weekly and trying to keep the public informed. Right now, they're trying to cut $50 million of services to community centers, historic neighborhoods, infrastructure upgrades that's well overdue. So we need just as much advocacy on the local level and the state level, because like our Doge committee in Duval County, it's like they're working in tandem with the federal government and Governor DeSantis, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on that people aren't aware of that. Yeah, we need to get them looped in.
Sounds good. So I will keep you posted and we'll keep talking and see, how we can, galvanize and get the funding. So I am doing a call to action on this podcast with Sadie. If you're sick and tired and you hollering about, I don't know what to do and what's next, this is a great place to start. And that is to sign up, go to the digitaldemocracyproject.org. Sign up on that VOLS app, sign up to become a member and a donor because they need money. But since our governor in Florida has vetoed their budget to get the money to spread this world on statewide. So you can help that way, give them suggestions, become a lobbyist in your local government so you can be there at the committee meetings, so you can feed information to the Digital Democracy Project to help them build out this voter-driven system so we can have a say here at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. So I'm calling everybody out. So you got a tool now and you got a weapon that it don't take much time because you carry it in your hand every day. That's that cell phone. So you can get involved and be civically engaged. Sadie, thank you so much for this informative interview. This will not be your last time as you all grow and do new things. We've been more than happy to bring you back and share with our listeners and viewers, as I am available and open to help you all on your platform as well as y'all are helping me as a candidate for 2026 Florida House District 14. So with that being said, Sadie, what is your final thought, or what have you learned in this last legislative session? What was the 3 top bills where you all saw from the data that Floridians was highly opposed against, and which ones they supported?
Okay, I know the first bill that comes to mind that I've heard the most about is the HB 1205 that you're probably familiar with too. The bill that changed the requirements, the rules around like petition collecting to get citizen-led amendments onto the ballot. So that's the one that I would think we had the most voters that had weighed in on. And that's the first bill that comes to mind. We carried about like 85 bills, so I haven't really looked to see like which ones were top of mind for voters, but I know I had heard a lot about the employment of minors bill, the one to kind of, whichever way you look at it, to roll back protections, to reduce requirements to for minors to be working, not as the same level of protections or restrictions that they have right now. So that one got a lot of interest as well. And I know we carried the kind of, I guess another one that I heard got a lot of attention that did not pass. Another one that didn't pass was the HB 1381, was kind of what some people described as like the state level version of the SAVE Act. It would require proof of citizenship for voters. I believe it was to register to vote and for voting. And I know it changed a lot of the requirements around like the accepted IDs that voters could use to vote. So that one did not advance, but got a lot of attention. And then on the opposite side, the first bill that comes to mind, kind of completely counter to HB 1381, was the Harry T. and Harriet V. Moore Florida Voting Rights Act. That one gets a lot of attention, and that one would do the opposite, kind of expand access to voting, make it easier, make Election Day a paid holiday, and it would legalize ranked choice voting that's now illegal in the state. And there's a lot of different ways that that would help out, kind of giving more voters more access. There's language access included in that bill. So that one gets a lot of attention, more so support from voters in the app. And let me think. Yeah, you can go through, I should mention too, if you go to the website on the bills view, you can sort by different topics. If there's like an issue area that you're interested in, you can see which bills addressed or related to that issue. You can see ones from 2023, 2024, 2025, the state level, the federal level.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of another.
What about the one for the state parks where they want to put the?
Oh yes, yeah, that is a good one. So yeah, the State Park Preservation Act, that one got a lot of attention as well, which I'm sure you were probably involved in the whole issue over the summer with the interest in like building pickleball courts and golf courses and lodging in our state parks. So that got a lot of attention from voters way back then. So this bill passed that did provide protections for our state parks to hopefully keep that development out. And then since you brought that one up, another bill that passed, especially in the area of the environment, was the one to kind of provide protections for banning oil drilling in the Apalachicola River Valley. So that one provided protections, like I think it's like 10 miles off the coast. So yeah, I was kind of curious to see how that one would go, but that one did pass as well. So yeah, there's tons of bills. I know we passed like the Gulf of America bill was one that advanced. We passed like a weather modifications bill. And I know we carried like the sub-minimum wage bill. That one got a lot of attention as well. So that is another good thing about that. Voters can learn about bills that they may think are positive, that could provide solutions, that they could know like this is something that we could have if we had the people in power to vote for it. And then they can also learn about bills that they may be opposed to, that maybe even didn't advance, so they don't get a lot of attention, but things that we could have had that we didn't have. So it kind of, there's a lot going on that voters could see as positive or negative that don't get a lot of attention because they don't pass. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there was like a pet insurance bill. There's a lot that voters need to be aware of.
Exactly. You made me thought about the homeowners insurance, the homeowners association dealing with the Surfside Tower incident that happened. I remember them discussing that one. And me being on the Legislative Affairs Committee, I think it was like over 3,000 bills they proposed, and it was like 1,800 or so, but a lot of them was duplicates and rewrites and things of that nature. And that's another reason I like the Digital Democracy project, because you all weed through that stuff and you figure out what's the actual bill that they're actually trying to push and pass to get the governor to sign. Instead, on the Legislative Affairs Committee, we have to comb through all of them, trying to figure out, the nuances, the harmfulness, the helpfulness, the repurposed ones. I mean, it was just unheard of and unimaginable. And that's what made me want to get involved with the Digital Democracy Project, because it has to be a way that registered voters and taxpayers can let their voices be heard, especially when their sitting incumbents and legislative representatives are not listening to them. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying thank you so much for you coming from Indiana to Florida to help Ramon execute this. And now that I know the governor of Florida has vetoed y'all funding, that y'all had bipartisan support, which we need to raise some noise about so we can get some type of crowdfunding or change.org petition going with some donations so we can get y'all the money y'all need. Because technology is not cheap, ladies and gentlemen. It costs money. And Sadie and her team, they need to get paid. They got to eat. But we also need to vote, too, for right representation. So, Sadie, thank you so much for being here today on Voices for Florida House District 14. And again, this is not the last. This time you will be. We will stay connected. But I am urging all the listeners and viewers, check out the digitaldemocracyproject.org today. If you have any questions, reach Sadie in the chat, and I will provide you her email address in the description of this podcast. Thank you so much, Sadie.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Voices of Florida House District 14. Love thy neighborhood. If you felt seen, heard, or inspired, share this episode, subscribe to our podcast, and spread the word across our district and beyond. From Durkeeville to Dunn Avenue, from East Side to Edgewood, from Springfield to San Marco, and across every street near the stadium downtown. We are building power, one voice at a time. Don't forget to sign the petition to get me on the 2026 ballot and donate $26 today to keep this campaign for the people, powered by the people. Schedule your story session, stay connected on social media, and join our volunteer team, digitally or in person, because change starts with us, right here, right now, right on your block. Until next time, love your neighbor, lift your voice, and let's fight for the future we all deserve. Paid for by Teresa V. Wakefield Gamble, Democrat for Florida House District 14. Produced by CRPC Now Media. Powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consultants, LLC.